Welcome to the latest episode of Cut to the Chase. Shine. Today we're talking communication, and it's probably one of the most important skills that you need to have in this business too. You got to understand the situation, but if you don't communicate in a certain way, but as well as how much you communicate, the way that you communicate, and you got to ask permission, right? At the start of the campaign, I'm a strong believer that as soon as the agency agreement is signed, the week before we come in on the market, I will always ask, are you happy communicating in a group chat? You prefer to have a face-to-face? A phone call weekly, a Zoom meeting weekly. We have our review meetings and all of that. But what is your preferred method of communication? And that's what they say. And I do make a recommendation. And if you're happy to continue on the group chat, we'll mainly continue here because it suits my needs. And if it suits their needs, then we're all happy. And if they have a different type of need, let's work with them.
Adapt to that. I think from an auctioneer's point of view, I like that face-to-face communication. And I'm a little bit old school as well. And I think this is a contact sport, it's a relationship sport. There's empathy involved, there's body language and everything like that. But there's many, many different ways to communicate these days, right? There's text, there's WhatsApp, there's email, there's phone conversations, there's Zoom, there's Teams, etc. What I do like when I'm working with particular agents, and I'm the auctioneer on the case, and you and your team are very, very good at this, is including me from the very start, an introduction. So I have all of the messaging that you have on a daily basis, and you're really good. Diego and his team communicate on a daily basis throughout a campaign. I'm seeing all those messages. So when it comes time for the review meeting or the reserve set, I know exactly what's been going on. But I think you come across a really good point there. It's what your vendors or your sellers or whatever they feel comfortable with. And you just ask for permission at the listing presentation, and you run them through what's going to happen over the next few weeks. If they want that, that's what they want, and that we adapt to that.
And then as well, I think it's very crucial that you take it week by week, I think, right? Campaigns move week by week, not just because of the weekends open on, but it's just, you get to a different stage the following week and then a different stage. And I think at the very start of your campaign, after 1 week being on the market, I think it's very important that you actually review with them. And are you happy with the current level of communication? Do you need more? Do you need less? And I actually asked this question, are you okay with the level of communication that we're providing you right now? Because if they then say, we're very happy with that, there is no excuses. You've asked if they need more and they're happy with that. And I truly think that there has been some time that people say, actually, it's a bit too much, Diego. And I'm like, perfectly, I understand because we are daily, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know.
One of the things I like, one of the questions you ask, one of the questions I ask, one of it is at the start of that review meeting or that first meeting with them, it's not bang straight into it and hey, this is what's happened, this buyer's been true, and this is the feedback. It's, how are you feeling? We've had a week, how are you feeling about the campaign? And it gives them the opportunity to say, okay, I'm a bit surprised at the level of it. It opens up the dialogue straight away, but it also shows a level of empathy as well, that you're ready to listen and adapt to anything that they bring up with. And I like that. I like the feeling that this selling a house is a very emotional time. It's a tough time for the majority of people, right? And knowing that you're on their side and it's not just a simple transaction is really important.
And as well, you got to treat everyone the same, but treat them differently. There is people that sold 3 times in their life and they're very familiar with the process. There are people that maybe sold 5 times and they're still not familiar with the process, and everyone else is in between. And I think in terms of the communication that you give them, the information is to be provided first. Like we were talking about now, vendor reports and feedback and all of that. That is not something you discuss. You bring it up fresh in front of a person. Then you got to give the information first, let them digest it, and then you can talk about it, right? And I think as well, it's how you frame it, because for me, everything is, here's the information, let's talk about it later, because then there's some time to digest it, process it. And as well, then you can have a meaningful conversation rather than defending, because sometimes the vendor gets into a defending argument, right? Yes. And we're not there to argue with our vendors. We are on their side.
100% on this. So we're never there to argue. So you bring up a really good point and a strong point. It's something that we should all be doing is that, hey, look, every Tuesday morning you are going to have a very detailed vendor report at 10 a.m. and at 4 o'clock we're on a Zoom, we're on the phone, or you're in the office to discuss. So it gives them time to digest it. But then it's not bang, here it is, and you're walloping them with hard news or disappointing news or fact that they may not want to hear. So make sure that report is in front of them, and then you're meeting on the same day to discuss it, so they've had time to digest.
I think there was a book somewhere that it was called The Art of Communication, right? Because it is a bit of an art, isn't it? It's getting it right, and as well getting it right for different type of people, right? Because it takes all sorts to make the world go around, right? And you communicate with someone in a certain way, and somebody else does not communicate that way at all. And if you just treat everyone the same, then you'll be losing opportunities there.
One of the great lessons I learned before we go was a wonderful friend of mine, captain of the Hurricanes, ex-All Black, a guy by the name of Norm Hewitt, and at the time he was captaining the Hurricanes, and I said, that's a pretty tough job, captaining the Hurricanes in this time around about 2005. And he says, yeah, it's a tough job because I have people of Ireland descent, I've got people of Māori descent, of English, of Pākehā, and I've got to work out how I communicate with all of them different ways. He says, I deal with a prop forward different than I deal with the first 5'8", and his knowledge of learning about people and how to communicate with them was something I've taken on board, and it taught me a really strong lesson back in the day, and I miss him terribly.
Yeah, and I think a lot of agents don't realize how important it is, because if you don't communicate the right message to a buyer or to a vendor, bang, you can lose an opportunity to link a buyer and a vendor. I think this is probably one of the longest episodes that we had. Cut to the chase.
Communication.
All about communication. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next week.